Guys, this is going to be a different sort of a video. So, you know, uh, this might be a bit of off topic, but this is something I've wanted to discuss for a long, long while. You'd notice that a lot of these institutions like Oxford, what they have in the name of debates is just performances. They have supposed resolutions, and they already have in mind what they want the audience to believe, not to mention the very fact that the audience itself is pretty biased. So, years back I watched this Oxford so called debate about Islam being a religion of peace or not. So, what happened there was there's this dude, Mehdi Hassan, and he was for the proposition that Islam is a religion of peace. So there's a particular segment of that. I actually made a 50-minute video or something on his entire speech on the previous channel, but this is the most important bit of it which I want to discuss. If you watch the reaction of the audience to his speech, you basically notice that education doesn't always mean knowledge. Education, the biggest pitfall of formal education is the educated absorb the bias of the educational institution as well. With Oxford, they have a history of countering Christian orthodoxy, and I wouldn't say that is a bad thing per se. I wouldn't say that is being bad for the West, right? That is one of the things which has made the West what it is today, right? Which is opposing Judeo-Christian orthodoxy. The problem is with these people, because they have grown up in an institution which has only opposed those things, they have a very scanty idea of how Islam actually behaves. So when they oppose Christian orthodoxy, and for good reasons behind that, they do not understand that Islam is no different. In fact, Islam is a return to Judaism, as Richard Dawkins mentions. So there's a particular line of reasoning which Mehdi Hassan uses in his speech. He refers to supposedly Islamic scientists like Ibn Sina, or Avicenna as he is known in the West, Ibn Rushd, or Averroes as he is known in the West, and Al-Khwarizmi, who invented the algebra, and the entire audience clapped. There's not a single person in the audience who was going to ask him what was the reaction of the Islamic ulema to these guys. Averroes was placed under house arrest by the Almohads. He was put in exile later on, and he had his entire books burned. He was actually a great commentator on Aristotle. This was the reaction to him. Al-Ghazali considered Al-Khwarizmi to be heretic because he considered that God's knowledge did not extend to particular side, and his entire area of science, like his studies, were considered to be heretical. And then there was Ibn Sina, same thing, he was considered a heretic. And then there was, above all, Al-Razi, or Al-Razan as he is known as he's called in the West, right? He criticized prophethood head on, and there was something very harsh which he said, that there's hundreds of works which have more poetic value than the Quran, and people who tell you you cannot replicate the Quran, they are idiots. He basically said it. You can replicate it into something that is 100 times better, and that it's a work of myth. So he doesn't mention all of this when he mentions Islamic scientists. He doesn't mention how these guys were considered heretics. These people would have been running for their lives today as they were running for their lives back in the day, as they were slandered for centuries by the Islamic ulema of their time. Do you know which people the Islamic ulema actually honored? People like Mahmud of Ghazna. They were given the title of Ghazi for, guess what? Killing Shias and killing tens of thousands of Hindus and destroying the places of their arts and their temples, right? That is the person who was called Ghazi by the Islamic Caliphate. The righteous prophet, the righteous caliph of Islam, one of the four, Umar, he burnt down what is left of the library of Alexandria. And now people would tell you, oh, but bro, the sources on this are ambiguous. All right, let's say he did not do it. Let's say he did not do it. The very fact that the Islamic sources celebrate the idea of something like that gives you an idea of how they saw non-Islamic knowledge, like anything outside of like real knowledge. What views they had for real knowledge, that it was best if it was destroyed and that it was dangerous. And what next? Like, this is, you can probably have people like the Pope up next, I guess, would tell you that Galileo and Newton were proof that Christianity was open to science. It's proof that Christianity, the religion contributed to science. If you look into what happened during the Islamic Golden Age, not a single invention came out of the Arab Peninsula. The people in the Arab Peninsula were still busy raping, killing, and looting. The Karamatids, they sacked Mecca in 930 CE. They raped a lot of women. They killed everyone. They committed a massacre in Mecca. And they stole the black stone. That is really what has come out of Islam, the religion, in the Islamic Golden Age.